church, you want to take it back to your church and have your leaders look at that, I'd be glad to share it. You can modify it any way that you might want, or you can put it in the trash. But, you know, it really applies to all of us. There will be parts that maybe won't. Like, we have a school right next door to this facility. You might not. So, but it's definitely, we'll share it. So all you need to do is just let me know that, hey, we want to copy this, so we take it back to our leaders. We'll definitely share that.
Michelle, would you give us that phone number, please? Do you have the phone?
Yes, it would be 715-324-5899, and that will get you to Lorraine in our office, and she can get a copy out in the mail.
Well, no, it's gonna be easier than that.
What's that?
We're going YouTube. So there'll be a link that we can email you a link, you click on the link, boom, there it is.
Great.
The plan?
Oh, the plan part.
The plan.
Well,
yeah.
the video part, I thought you were talking video.
Yeah, the plan, yeah.
The video is actually also going on YouTube, so you'll be able to click on that. So if you have this video you want to share with people in your church or with anybody, if you want to make Sergeant Lincoln famous, we can.
I don't know if that's gonna happen. I can give you a copy of, if you want a copy of the slideshow as well. I mean, I have no issue just downloading on your computer and whatnot.
Thank you.
That as well. So, yeah, that's no issue.
But we're recording, it's yours.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you for inviting me here. Thank you for setting this up. It's been quite a while since I've kind of done the presentation here. You know, in our busy world and everything going on, I think it's been probably 3 or 4 years since I've actually been in a school or a church or anything like that. So it's definitely good to get back out in the community and touch base on this subject. It's important to go over it. It's important to review it. I did review your church's plan, and it looks like some of the plans that you have in place are in line with what we talked about. So that's good. That's a good thing. You're on the right track. But it's good to bring it out and talk about it. My presentation isn't super long, so we can be out of here in 30 minutes, or I've been in the place for over 2 hours before. It kind of all comes down to how many questions you have and how much involved you guys get. So as we're going, if you have questions, speak up. We can interact as I go, and then at the end we'll have a chance to talk some more. Okay? So we'll just we'll move forward. So who am I? I'm Lance Lincoln. I'm a Niagara boy. Went to school there. Went to college for police science, and now I've been doing this job from a young age of 19. So I've been doing it a while now. I'll be 41 here at the end of the month. I currently working for the Sheriff's Department. I'm a night shift supervisor there. And of course, my duties here, I also am a part of our SWAT team for Marinette County. I've been doing that since I believe 2005. And now for the past 6 years, I've been the team leader on our SWAT team. Some other things that I do, I'm our department use of force instructor. That ranges from firearms, chemical munitions, some of our explosives, DACT, tactics trainings, and whatnot. So I've been doing that for a while as well. Personally, I'm married with 5 children, so we're pretty busy. Our oldest son here just graduated, so I'm pretty excited about that. He'll be actually leaving for Fort Benning, Georgia in July. He's headed off to the Army, so pretty proud about that. Okay, so with that being said, that's who I am, a little bit about me. We'll get into it. So we got some objectives here. We want to talk about active killers, active shooters. So we need to kind of identify what that is. We want to understand what some appropriate actions are if we ever find ourselves in that type of situation. Let's hope that never happens, but we need to prepare. And then we need to understand what we will do, what police will do if we ever respond to your churches buildings, you know, festivities, understand what we're gonna do. So first, we need to identify what an active killer is, and that's basically a person who's actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill or do harm to people in a confined space or a populated space. A lot of people, when they think of this, they think of schools, churches, buildings, but that's not always the case. You know, this could be an open air environment. Think of the Las Vegas shooting, you know, a big festival. So it's just not always confined to a building, okay? This county fair, you know, festivities like that. So we need to start off when we're thinking about this is engaging and getting a survival mindset, okay? Understanding the situation, preparing, asking ourselves, what if, you know, questions that need to constantly go through our mind, and then we have to start training our minds. The first time that this happens shouldn't be the first time. In my line of work, when I'm teaching officers, you know, I'm always asking them, if this happens, what are you gonna do? If that happens, what are you gonna do? I'm constantly flipping the script, and that's what we need to do in our mind, okay? You are directly responsible, we all are directly responsible for our own safety, okay? So preparation, you know, schools commonly rehearse fire drills, okay? That's a common thing. But when's the last time you really heard of like a big school fire? I think the last big school fire where a lot of big, you know, there was mass casualties, I think it was in the late 50s. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's when it was, like 1956. So schools annually do fire drills, okay? Why aren't we doing more active shooter stuff, active killer preparation, okay? We'll go back, if I can get back. Alright, so for some of us, for some of you, this could be the time when your formal preparation starts, okay? So some myths. You always hear this person doesn't fit the profile. Well, over the years of doing this and being involved with some incidents in our county here, I don't know what the profile is. There is no profile that we can have for an active killer. You always hear people say, whenever there's something that someone does something bad, well, you know, he was a good boy or he was a good man, I would have never thought. That's completely true. You know, there is no profile. And then if we do look at some statistics of this, women commonly are a very, very small percentage of active shooters. Some other myths is that people who carry out attacks like this, talk about it, they bring it into the open. That's not the case. A lot of people that we find that talk about this or make open threats, they're not ones that are actually doing something. The people who do this, it's secretive. They're commonly alone, it's commonly planned out, and they're the only ones. Very rarely are there more than one person, okay? So, who are the first responders to an active shooter, active killer situation? Who do you think first responders are? If you have to guess, anyone?
Police.
People in it.
Oh, people in
Yeah,
there.
right there, already right there.
You guys are. You're the first responders, okay? You're the ones that are gonna be directly responsible for what happens with your lives and other lives in a situation like this. Because I can tell you in this county, it is huge. We have a very big county, and depending on what's going on, unfortunately, our response times can be, maybe it's 3 minutes, maybe it's 15 minutes. So that's a lot of time for us to get here. So you guys are the ones that are gonna be directly responsible if, God forbid, something ever happens in your church, in our schools, at a festivity. You know, you guys are gonna have to be the ones to be the first responders, okay? Emergency responders, that's gonna be police, fire, and rescue that are specifically trained how to handle an emergency situation. Okay, so there's a difference. First responders, emergency responders, okay? At the sheriff's department, actually this whole week, myself and a couple of our trainers, we actually just did active shooter training, and that's something that we actively do. Commonly do. We do force on force training. Our force on force training is we have bad guys who are armed with ammunition weapons that can actually shoot compressed soap at our officers. So when you get hit with that, it hurts. But it's good training because officers can actually shoot their weapons, bad guys can shoot, we have role players. But that's training that we actually do as emergency responders to train everyone, okay? So prior training, and this has been some years since people did this, but a lot of times people train emergency lockdown situations, you know, lockdown in an office or a room or wherever, shut the lights off and basically become a target in the room. That's not how we need to be doing it, okay? It's not always the best plan, okay? Obviously, maybe the building might dictate that, maybe you can't get out, okay? But what we train is run if you can, hide if you can, fight if you must. And we're gonna touch on that, okay? But run if you can, run means get out, any way that you can. Hide, obviously means hide out wherever you can hide, and fight. So this is the point where we need to start creating our survival mindset, we like to call it. That's what I train and tell guys, okay? Creating that survival mindset, and this is where everyone remembers Columbine, correct? The Columbine school shooting. So in that school shooting, someone pulled the fire drill when the shooting started, bad things started happening, and over 800 people got out of that school, okay? If they would have locked down in place, they would have been, targets in that school. Virginia Tech, everyone remember Virginia Tech shooting? That incident, I'm pretty sure when the shooter entered that building, he chained doors shut behind him, effectively locking everyone in with him. In that scenario, in that incident, there were students in that building that jumped out of second-story windows and survived. They got a little bit injured, but they survived. And the people who locked down in the classroom were murdered. So we need to start developing that mindset of what you're going to do. It's some people it's harder to do that, but we need to start thinking about it, okay? You need to have that attitude that it's not going to be today. And if you're put in that situation where you're going to have to fight, you're going to have to do everything you can to win. Has anyone ever heard of the OODA loop? A thinking process, observe, orient, decide, act. No? So, Colonel John Boyd, United States Air Force, came up with something like this. And so you're observing data based on some sort of stimulus, whether that be people running, screaming, gunshots. That's who you're observing. Oriented, you're beginning to formulate a plan based on that stimulus. Whatever your plan may be, then you're taking that, you're deciding on which plan you want, you're acting, you're putting that plan into motion with complete commitment, okay? And then the OODA loop, you go right back to observe, and what that means is Once you put that plan in action and you're doing it, you have to observe based on feedback from what you're doing, and it starts all over again, okay? So what we like to do in training is talk about that OODA loop, and it should never stop. It should be evolving. You're going over and over and over until you can get yourself out or the situation ends, okay? You always need to have the mind. If the mind stops thinking, you stop. You're gonna freeze, okay? We just talked about figure out what's happening. This is kind of, we're starting at the top of the OODA loop. Like I said, sound of gunfire, maybe a PA announcement, people running, screaming. You know, we need to move quickly and get out. This is our run portion. Don't wait for any type of confirmation of an active shooter. If that little sixth sense or that the hair on the back of your neck tells you something's wrong, a lot of times that sixth sense is right. Once you do get out, we need people calling 911. You're going to be in touch with dispatch. If you can't call it, I'm sure everyone nowadays has handy dandy cell phones on them. I don't know if we all text or not, but if you can't call, send a text to someone who can call. And some of the information that we like to get, how many people are involved. And that's not just how many bad guys there are, but how many people are at whatever function or how many people are in the church. You know, whether you're inside, outside, types of weapons. We want to know what types of weapons, you know, pistols, shotguns, rifles. And active killers aren't always just using firearms. It could be edge weapons, knives. We like to know their location, where they are, where they're moving, where they're headed. And then obviously how many bad guys they are and what they're wearing. Okay? Hideout. If you can't get out, hideout. And that could be anywhere. If you're in this church, I'm not super familiar with your building here. But anywhere in this building where you can be able to sight, if you can't get out, you hide out. And then when you hide out, barricading that door. So the bad guy, the active killer, cannot get in that room. Okay? And back to the cell phones, making sure that our ringers, buzzers, everything's shut off. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've been out on foot and we're doing something and have my partner with me and all of a sudden his phone starts going off in his pocket. And when we're trying to be stealthy and then everyone knows right where we are. Same thing with an active killer. If you're hidden out, hiding, and all of a sudden your phone starts ringing because someone's checking on you or wanting to call you, and you just gave away where you are. Cover versus concealment. You know, cover is a brick wall, something that's going to stop bullets. Okay, that's cover. Concealment. You know, these church pews probably aren't going to stop rifle rounds very well or bullets. Thin drywall, that's concealment, okay? So keep that in mind if you're hiding somewhere, what may stop a bullet, what may not. We talked about it when we're in that room, keeping out, barricading the door. I'm sure in different rooms here you have desks, furniture, anything like that you can move in front of a door to try and prevent someone from getting in. And here's the part that a lot of people may have problems with, and you're going to have to wrap yourself around it. If this active killer gets in the room where you're barricaded, where a group of you are barricaded, you got to wrap your head around the fact that if you don't take some sort of action, and violent action against this person, they're probably there to kill you. And that's where we need to develop that survival mindset. We need to be able to put aside whatever religious or moral dilemmas you may have with that. If you want to survive, you're going to have to put yourself there and do what you have to do to survive that day. Okay? basically what it comes down to is you're gonna have to meet violence with violence, is what it comes down to. So we're in a room, and some people always say, well, what am I gonna use? Well, you know, in classrooms, you know, or churches, you have books. I'm sure in here somewhere you probably have a fire extinguisher, chairs, scissors, whatever you can use to get in your hands to create dysfunction in that person when they come through the door. That's what you use. If it's your fists, it's your fists. Okay? And target areas, well, if we're gonna take someone out and take them out quick, that's gonna be the head, face, the neck, the throat, right? They can't see, they can't fight, they can't breathe, they can't fight. Okay? Scissors in the neck, they bleed out, they can't fight. Not fun to think about, but it's truth, it's reality. Okay? So, we talked about what we're going to be doing. So, if the police respond, we are going to be coming fast. We're going to be coming with guns, and it's probably going to be loud. You're probably going to hear us yelling. Potentially, you're going to hear gunfire if we encounter this person inside. Our job is first person on the scene is coming in wherever, and we're going to immediately bypass. If there's people that are hurt on the ground, we're bypassing that. We're going right to where the shooting, where the situation is taking place, to stop whatever threat is there. That's what we're going to do immediately. So some people have said, well, what if I run towards you and you're coming in? There's a good chance if you run towards me and there's a truly an active shooter here, I'm probably going to plant you on the ground and keep going right by you, because we want to stop that threat and prevent more harm from happening. Okay. Some good things to remember. If you do encounter the police in some kind of situation, follow all the directions. Make sure your hands are shown, and follow any instructions we give you. If you're hidden out, eventually, yes, we are going to come find you, but do not open that door for anyone until you know for a fact, 100%, that it's a police officer. Okay? Just don't believe someone's word. They say, I'm a cop, open the door. You have to confirm it somehow, by, at that point, making a phone call. However you feel that you need to confirm that, and to make you comfortable to open that door, then open it. More than likely though, in that situation, once we have taken care of the shooter, we have ways and means to open doors if we need to, which we will do, because we're going to come through every place in the building. So some of my final thoughts are, in most situations, are prevented with awareness. Being aware of our surroundings, not being so complacent that we don't know what's going on around us, right? That should be something in today's world, complacency kind of gets the best of us and can get the best of people in bad situations. I know it's hard to think like that, but unfortunately in today's world, there's bad people out there, there's evil people out there, and it's just good to be aware of your surroundings, right? Being aware of odd behaviors, inappropriate behaviors, and the thing that we see a lot is sometimes people just don't say anything. They see something odd, but they just don't say anything. But speak up, let us know, so we can do our job. That's what we're here for, and that's what we'll do. So the takeaway here, every bad thing happens in our world must renew our determination that we are here doing the right thing. Right? We're here doing the right thing, and I always like to think about the kids, schools, and keep teaching our children to be great and do great. Those are just some statistics. Does everyone have any questions about any of this I spoke about? No? Nothing? Yes, ma'am.
Being that Marinette County is as big as it is,
Yeah.
the likelihood of having police protection quickly is remote. The likelihood, maybe with God willing, there'd be an officer, when they call 911, that'd just be down the street.
Correct.
So we'd actually have to be very careful and wait it out.
Yeah, I mean, and that's completely accurate. Marinette County is what, close to 1,600 square miles. And then in the summer, we are extremely busy in the summer because our population sometimes triples and quadruples, with all the seasonal people that come out. And our police staffing does not change. So we go from winter months with a year-round population of whatever, like 45,000 people around, give or take. And then in the summer times, that just explodes. So we deal with summer populations of lots of people with the same amount of officers. And you're absolutely right. It could be that we're tied up in Silvercliff or Cribbets or Coleman, and it could be a while. It could be a while. You know, fortunately, you are located close to Niagara. There are Niagara officers that are around, and Michigan's fairly close as well. We have agreements in place, especially in some type of incident like this. You're going to have police coming from everywhere to assist. You're going to have police coming from Niagara, Dickinson County, Iron Mountain, Kingsford, Norway. You're going to have cops coming from all over, but that's still going to take time. And that's where, like I said, you're going to have to formulate a plan in your mind and prepare yourself if this day ever comes that you might be the only person that can save yourself. And that's a scary thing to think about, but it's 100% true. Okay?
I thought I was crawling underneath a pew.
Yeah.
Somebody'd have to haul me out.
Because I'll be coming. I'll be coming. Yes, sir.
How about a church setting up their own security team?
That happens.
I mean, Wisconsin has this with Karen.
Yep.
If you're training, I know I attended a seminar 3-4 years ago, the FBI put it on in Appleton. And that was one of their things, was if they have qualified people, they carry concealed. The other thing is, if something went down, they would carry an armband, particular color, so when the police came in, they would know they're armed and who they are.
Yep.
They're not the shooter.
Yep. And I think, I don't remember where it was, but it wasn't that long ago that there was an active shooter incident in a church, and one of the churchgoers was carrying concealed, and the guy came in and it was all caught on their security cameras, and that person in the church ended the incident rapidly.
Right.
With that being said, I'm a huge proponent of the Second Amendment. I'm a huge proponent of law-abiding citizens carrying concealed, because when people do that, I mean, statistics show that crime rates go down. You know, I have no issue with that. I think that's something that probably needs to be discussed within the church,
Right.
on how you would handle that. My only caveat to that is people carrying weapons, pistols, need to be proficient in that discipline,
I
right?
agree.
So, an untrained person carrying a gun, and they don't know what to do with it, whether that be shooting it accurately, handling it accurately, especially in that type of environment, stressful situation, that can add a whole new dynamic to the ballgame, and then you could be introduced to another weapon
Right.
that this person could take from.
Plus, you've only got seconds to make a decision.
Correct. So, where I'm all for it, I just think that if that's gonna happen, you need to make sure whoever's doing that is gonna be proficient in that.
I just, a side note on that, I'm sure all the churches, whatever insurance company, if you were thinking about having, group do it. You check with your insurance company because they may have guidelines, they might even encourage it. But, you know, about the only way you maybe wouldn't have to is if you didn't come into the church representing the church. You just happen to be a guy that has a conceal and carry and you come in doing it on your own accord. So that's just a word of warning, just if you're gonna, you know, always check with the insurance company to give you a little insight.
So I know there are churches that do that. But I mean, obviously that's gonna be up to your individual churches and the councils and all that to determine how they would want to handle that. So, anything else? Yes, sir.
Does the 911 system accept emergency texts?
Oh, I do not believe we have that yet. But I think that is something that is in the works. I'm almost positive we don't have that yet. So, but, you know, with that being said, it'd be easy enough to make a text to someone else and say, you know, emergency, wherever I am, call 911.
And if you have access to one of our phones, you don't even have to say anything. You dial 911 and hang it down and
Right.
hide.
Yeah.
They're gonna send somebody here, and they'll probably start hearing things in the background
Yeah.
that would key them to send more people.
That's a great point, you know. Women of domestic abuse and stuff like that, we've talked about that before, but yeah, you dial 911, say you're in here, dial 911, and also need to slide your phone underneath the cushion here, that's gonna go straight to dispatch. We're gonna know exactly where the phone is, because it's gonna plot, and we're gonna have a little red dot right on the church, and we can usually tell even which portion of the building where that phone is. But more importantly, we're gonna be able to hear what's going on through that phone. So, I mean, that's something great right there. Now, stick it in some place that's inconspicuous, and just leave it there. So.
If an active shooter comes into church, and it just seems like the stories I've heard, generally somebody up front is the target first. I mean, is it generally or isn't there a norm? Are they angry at leadership or?
You know, I don't know that there's generally I don't know that I've ever heard of specific targeted type things like that, you know, I mean, we've had people that, you know, workplaces or churches that maybe they've been fired, or maybe they've been removed from a church because of some inappropriate actions or something, then maybe they might have a beef against council members or a pastor or something like that, or a workplace, you know, where it might be more targeted. But then there's lots of incidents that can just contradict that. They're just going to do as much damage as possible in a short amount of time. So.
When you think about, you know, if let's say if you can, you come into the sanctuary meaning to kill, you know, you're probably not gonna go like this first or like this first. You're gonna go like this to the people who are out in front of you, you know. And that's where, you know, your ushers are real important too in any emergency response, because they're normally at the back of the church. They should have probably eyes on, you know, what's going on in front, but on your entrance if possible. We started leaving only one entrance open. You know, normally before COVID, we'd have our side and the back open, and now we just have, and even if they are open before, then they're locked.
Sure.
And we just have the one main entrance, and then the ushers have eyes on that, so. That's another thing too, is to incorporate your ushers into any kind of plan that you should devise.
Statistics show with these types of incidents, if people encounter and engage these active killers, the faster that is, the more rapidly the situation ends. Because a lot of times these people are cowards, and they're not looking for a fight. If they get engaged, whether it be, you know, churchgoers or workers, and they're bringing the fight to them, usually things end very rapidly, whether by church taking the person out, they take their self out, or they just give up. That's typically how things will end, you know. Okay. Anything else? I think someone had some questions as well before, about your location and the relevancy to the school. So, you know, you guys kind of have a unique location here. And I think, you know, if we had a true active shooter scenario at the school, I don't know what your schedules are like here or how busy it is during the school year over here, during school hours. But I think my advice in that situation is if you hear that there's truly some type of active shooter scenario at the school, my best advice for you would be to leave the area, you know. Because more than likely when we arrive there, and if for some reason we don't find said person in the school, well, our search area is going to expand. We're probably going to come in here and search this as well, just because it's so close. Some type of different emergency situation, whatever it might be, who knows, maybe there was some type of, you know, fire over there, or big accident. This would be a great location for, you know, a collection point for people, you know, in that scenario.
Especially if it's cold.
Especially if it's cold, yeah. So, but if we're speaking strictly active shooter, my advice would be to get out and get people out of here, because, I mean, it's a hop, skip, and a jump from the school, and if we're all collected in here, hiding out, well, I can tell you that there ain't no window or door in here that would stop me from getting in if that was my plan. So. Anything else? No?
Do you have to abide by the same rules as a police officer, give them a warning or anything like that?
No.
Good.
If your life or someone else's life is in danger, imminent danger, yeah, I mean, it's game on. You know, that person comes in here and all of a sudden they're shooting and they're doing harm and killing, by golly, take them out immediately, as fast as you can. You know, if you have that ability. You know, if you don't have that ability, obviously, and they're out in the large gathering area and you're here, well, you probably maybe want to get out, you know. So, but yeah, you don't have to give warning or warning shots or any of that. If you're face to face and say you're carrying concealed, yeah, take them out.
You know, the first thing they say is to run.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we're in church, we're amongst friends. Some people are older, some people need help. How do you run when that's happening? It's like, goes kind of against what your need to help others.
I know. It completely does. But it's kind of, it's hard to think of doing that and leaving people behind. And I would feel the same way, you know, because, you know, we have some people who are older and not as mobile as others, you know. But, I mean, I'm going to use you for example.
Shirley would help you get out, I promise.
It doesn't mean that a guy like me who's in pretty good shape and pretty strong, and someone comes in, couldn't kick this window out and throw Shirley out the window.
I'm so sorry.
Shirley might get a little injured, you know, but that wouldn't take very long to do that, you know. But, you know, we'll go back to statistics again, you know, injured people, stuff like that. The longer we stick around this place, the higher our chances are of becoming a victim as well. And it's hard to think about, and, you know, because we wanna help people and get everyone out, but sometimes it doesn't go that way.
Maybe everyone is trying to reload.
And that's, you know, and that's where we go back to like the first time shouldn't be the first time, putting yourself through it in your mind. And it's not the same, but at least if you're thinking about it, and thinking about, well, what if this happens, what would I do? What if this happens, what would I do? At least you've thought about it. So if something does happen, it's not the first time that you've actually ran that scenario through your mind.
Make your move when he's reloading.
What's that?
Make the move when when he's reloading. The best time.
Well, I mean,
Unless he's got more than one gun.
I'm not gonna pull my pistol out here, but for me, I'm fairly.
You're well trained.
Pretty proficient with my firearm, and if someone else is, I mean, if my gun were to go dry, for me to drop the mag and insert a new mag and get back up and running, I bet you I can do that in under a second, easy. So, I don't know how quick you are, Sue.
Not anymore.
You know, your best bet is to make that plan and enact it and go just right away. You know, no waiting around, anything.
Well, if anything is, if you're a concealed carrier, if you shoot back, you're putting their head down. Even, you know, be careful don't shoot the guy in the white robe, okay? That's me. But you're getting their head down and distracted, and that's getting more people out.
Right.
We call it cover fires.
Yeah, we just have to remember though, you know, we're responsible for any round that comes out of our firearm, right? So we wanna make sure that we're proficient. But lots of times when these people are met with offensive, you know, they're the ones thinking that they're on the offensive and they're met meeting fire with fire. Lots of times they're weak feet and they're gonna give up, you know what I mean? They're not expecting that at all, so.
Cowards anyway.
And you could you also like throw stuff, you know, when you could throw whatever you have in a purse or whatever you happen to have, you know, if it can just cause a second for someone who is carrying to, you know, open up a window.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in that situation and you just can't get away, I mean, whatever you can grab, I mean, I'm sure I could throw this pretty hard right here. And if I were to somehow magically hit someone with it, I mean, it's probably gonna hurt and give you that split second to retreat a little more or give someone else an opportunity to take an angle and tackle them or whatever, you know, your candlesticks, your flower vases, whatever you can get your hands, if you have to at that time, that's what you do. I mean, a cell phone, get someone to hold that, hit them, I mean, whatever you have to, so.
Also, would you, so we all understand, you know, we wouldn't want to leave, you know, our friends or people we care about, maybe it's a family member who doesn't really get around, who's maybe has a walker, whatever the case would be. Could you also drop to the floor and just play dead? I mean, do you recommend that at all I mean, you know, someone they don't want to leave there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, I mean, it's hard to say, you know, I mean.
Because you don't know what's going through his mind.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you have your concealed carry, that'd be awesome.
Right.
Just wait for him and take care of it.
Right. But, I mean, me personally, I carry concealed all the time. And if I wound up in that situation, my first instinct is gonna be to go on the offensive. And I'm not gonna play dead, I'm not
You
gonna
have to take care of the problem.
I'm not gonna lay in wait and hide around the corner. I'm gonna face it and I'm gonna go straight at him.
But I think if Bob Earl was laying on the floor, I'd cuddle up with him. You know, bring it on, you know? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
If you gotta protect him, I don't know, it'd be a tough call.
it's tough. It's tough things, but it's all things to think about. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, some people are disabled and can't move, that might be something that they can only do, is to try and get down and try and be as still as they can and as quiet as they can and pretend that they've been shot,
Yeah,
you know?
hard to leave them.
Our son is also law enforcement, and his advice is if you are going to carry a concealed carry, you should carry it often, because your mindset is different when you do. You are, you're responsible, and you become more aware.
Yep. Well, I mean, if you're gonna do that, and be a concealed carrier, the pistol don't do you any good at home in the nightstand. And this is becoming a more and more violent world that we're in, unfortunately. And we're encountering more and more evil things out there. And that's why I am a huge proponent of the Second Amendment and concealed carry for law-abiding citizens. It's our right. And as long as we're doing it safely and we're getting training and making ourselves better, I'm all for it. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna add to that too. I've gone through concealed carry a couple times, up with both sides to bad guys, really excellent training. And they say, don't discount the adrenaline and everything else you're gonna go through. If you haven't been through it, it may be easy to say, well, I'm gonna do this and that, but your mind goes really fast. The other thing they say, yeah, you get very tunnel vision. And then the other thing they say is, if you're gonna carry, even just everyday carry, you should be going to the range once a month and have that muscle memory down and really work it, because again, with the adrenaline, and as the lady said here, carry it all the time. So, we say, hey, we're gonna carry, but there's a lot of things going into carrying, and I 100% agree. You can be more dangerous carrying if you don't know what you're doing and not realize all that's gonna happen. And they even say, if you ever shoot someone, you're probably not gonna be able to talk, because your adrenaline's gonna be pumping so fast. So just, words of caution. I'm a big proponent. I went through it a couple times myself, but there's a lot of responsibility with that too.
There's a lot of responsibility. And, I don't know where everyone sits on this, but, I love guns, like I said, I'm a proponent of it. And I hate when I see good people do stupid things, because then it comes down to more and more people wanting to remove people's gun rights. And I don't agree with that. That's why I always say, I'm a huge proponent of it, but get training and train yourself and be better and be proficient. So, when that day comes, if it ever comes, you've already put yourself there, you've trained your mind, you've trained your muscle memory. It takes thousands of reps to become proficient at something. So when that day comes, it's kind of automatic. So goes right in line with training that we do for police with firearms and stuff. I mean, I hammer guys with stuff all the time. They think it's boring, but in the long run, there's a method to my madness and why I make someone do something over and over and over again. It's repetition, So.
They say that once you did this exact same act 5,000 times, it's in your memory forever. You'll never forget it. So count.
So only 5,000.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
And I've been retired from law enforcement for so long, but it would come back for me like that.
Your pistol. Every day before I come to work, I do cross strokes on my pistol. Down in my basement, or every day in my room, I do probably 10, 15 cross strokes every day. Slow. I start slow, just mechanics, and then I'll build it up. Every single day I go to work, I do that. So.
Well, and there was that church shooting that they caught on the camera and then they showed on TV, where one guy ultimately shot him, but one guy, and a different, was struggling to get it out of his holster. He couldn't, and
Training.
yeah.
It's all training. Carrying concealed is concealed. That means it's concealed
go
on
dig
your body.
for it.
So that's where becoming proficient, knowing how to move that clothing out of the way to be able to access your firearm and drawing it safely. That it all takes repetition. one thing to carry, but if you're not practicing, you may become useless in this situation, because if you've never done it, you may fumble it, and it's on the ground, and then we have way more issues.
Well, and if, I think a lot of people would, if you're excited, you can get a sheath that slides into your pocket that is there and it doesn't come out, so it's almost like there, because I don't think we're all used to having a gun strapped to us, you know what I mean?
And there's all sorts of carry methods. You know, when I teach classes and all that kind of stuff, I tell people you have to do something that's comfortable, that you can conceal, and that you're, because everyone's different. We have all different body types, right? You know, some people might be comfortable with carrying appendix. Some people want it on the hip, some people like it on the small back, some people carry it on a little fanny pack. It's all personal choice, it's just whatever you decide to do, practice, and become proficient. Yes, sir.
Regarding concealed carry, do we have an agreement with Michigan?
I'm trying to think up there, if we can go into Michigan, concealed carry. No, we can't go
You
up there?
can't carry in Michigan.
Okay. See,
Illinois either, right?
what's that?
Illinois.
No, Illinois is,
That's a whole.
That's almost like a California.
You know, a lot of times I don't think about that, because as a law enforcement officer, we fall under a different set of statutes.
Right.
So, you know, as far as I go, I can carry in all 50 states, concealed legally.
Correct. Even retired officers can
Even-
carry off.
Yep, as long as they do their annual qualifications and they're in good
Right.
standing, yes.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, no, they don't have an agreement with Wisconsin where you can cross.
okay.
I have an app for that that tells you what states you can.
There, yes, it's easily found online, I just Googled it. I know I've looked before, but, yeah.
Sergeant Lance, thank you for doing your job.
Just from your perspective though, I mean, if there is an active shooter, as police come into the situation and you have multiple people with concealed carry, using their concealed carry, Art said, as a security team, maybe have a band on your arm, but not many churches around here have that. What's your advice for those concealed carrying when the police get on scene?
You know, my advice would be, you know, obviously probably if you're concealed carry and there's a situation that's happened, you're probably gonna have something taken care of by the time we get here. It's probably gonna end very, very rapidly. So my advice would be, to get on the phone with dispatch, hopefully you can make some contact and let our dispatch know that, hey, we do have concealed carriers on the premises, and give some descriptions of who you are, and they're probably gonna tell you to holster your firearm. Obviously, if the situation warrants it, you know, if things have been taken care of, holster it, and, we're gonna be coming in, the best thing is, I don't know what other officers are gonna say exactly, you know, we're gonna be giving you commands. Your best bet is going to be, you know, making sure your hands are up, fingers are splayed, not making any, you know, gross quick movements towards where your firearm is, and letting someone know, the officer know, hey, I have a concealed carry pistol on my person, this is where it is, and probably a good chance you're gonna get put in handcuffs. Probably pretty rapidly, but we'll be able to decipher and work through that after the scene is all cleared up, okay? So, and then once we've done that, and once we've realized that you've taken out the threat, and then that, we'll take you out of handcuffs and shake your hand, and all that kind of stuff. But until everything's, you know, before cleared up and safe, yeah, the best bet is follow what dispatch tells you. They're probably gonna tell you to holster it, make sure your hands are out, listen to everything we say, life will be good. So.
I had a cops like it when you get there and you got the guy all tied up and beat up, it's.
Did you get him? No.
You know,
Can't see.
in that type of situation, you know, if I got on the scene of a concealed carrier, took care of business, I'd be ecstatic.
Shake your hand, yep, thank God.
So otherwise, the big takeaway is, to really shorten it up, is run, hide, or fight if you have to.
Fight if you must.
Yeah,
Be observant.
yeah.
Be aware of your surroundings. I think that's, you know, going through lives, everyone's busy. We got so many things going on and going here and going there. Just being slightly observant of what's going on around you. You know, when you're in a room, just taking a minute to briefly look around and see what's going on. My wife always thinks that I'm weird and goofy, you know, because we'll go wherever we go and I'm checking things out. I gotta sit in a certain place, and then she's like, why do you you know, eyeing that guy down? Looks weird. You're right, something's not going on. You know, and I don't know, maybe that's just me as being a law enforcement officer, and I don't know, darn it, I think I'm right all the time sometimes like that. So that's just me, that's how I am, but I don't know.
I was somebody that's been a retired police officer for 30 years, and he still won't sit with his back to the door. After 30 years off the job.
I never was, but I still do. Always watch the door.
Right. You know, but you know, along with that is, you know, you're watching the door, but where else are your exits? What else can be used as an exit? You know, what in this room can I use if something happens that I can use as cover or concealment? You know?
Yeah, you go in the caddies, there's only one way in, one way out, unless you go through the kitchen.
Let's go in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Well, and there is the south road to the office. It's always locked though.
Well, that can be taken care of quick if you put your weight in.
If you know what you're doing.
You're all charged up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but just being observant of your daily lives, yes, ma'am.
When you're fully outfitted, how much weight are you carrying?
So, I usually weigh, without all this stuff on, about 220 pounds roughly, and with all this on, the belt and the vest, I'm about like 255 pounds with everything on. So.
You have to learn to walk when you got all that on?
His legs get stronger.
Yeah, I definitely am not as quick with all of this on, you know, but you may do. But it's not always the most comfortable attire, especially in this weather that we've been having, when it's 90 degrees out, it's a little warm, but you know, it all works.
You're a walking arsenal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Where was your bulletproof vest on? How many pounds is that?
How many pounds is the vest? I don't know. I've never actually just like weighed the vest to know what it weighs.
And they have gotten lighter.
Yeah, we've gotten significantly lighter and thinner. I don't know that better.
You've got a
But-
collar on?
Yeah. But I think the material is what is happening is obviously technology improves.
They make a lot of Kevlar.
What's that?
Is that all Kevlar?
Kevlar, yeah. And then we got trauma plates, hard trauma plates in them as well. So, yeah, from my first vest I had when I first started, it was pretty thick. And this one, I don't even think this one's a 1/4 inch thick now. It's pretty thin, but it still has the same stopping ability. You know, I don't want to ever test it. That's probably gonna leave a little bit of a mark, but, you know.
Yeah, they want you to hang it up on the ring just to see.
We've tested them, yep, we've tested our vests, and we've tested, like our SWAT vests and our plates. We've done testing,
Okay.
and, yeah, they.
That's the place to find out.
Yep. So, I mean, they work, but what's gonna happen behind it is gonna be pretty, though, that blunt force trauma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bruising.
So, Anyone else? Questions, comments? Nothing?
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for